Hello, welcome to Southeastern's SEAL ILL System Training Webinar. Thank you for viewing this recording. SEAL is sponsored by Southeastern New York Library Resources Council. I am Judy Fischetti, Member Services Librarian at Southeastern. What is SEAL? SEAL, Southeastern Access to Libraries, is a program that provides a way libraries can borrow material from or lend to another participating library in the region. It is comprised of a virtual union catalog of the Southeastern New York region using master key software by the company Index Data and a regional interlibrary loan email requesting system developed by Southeastern Systems Manager Zachary Spaulding. Libraries use SEAL when they cannot locate materials in their own library or shared circulation system. For example, if a Mid-Hudson Library System member library cannot locate an item to place a hold in their shared circulation system, the library can next search the SEAL Virtual Union Catalog, and if they find it, place a request to borrow from another library located in the Southeastern region. SEAL is paid for with regional bibliographic database funds from New York State. There is no cost to libraries to use the system. The system is used by library staff. Here is what we will cover in this webinar. By watching this video, you will be able to do these 5 procedures. First, if you do not already have one, you will need to create a user account. We will cover that in a few minutes. Being able to search the Virtual Union Catalog is essential to using SEAL. It is not complicated. We will cover all aspects of searching. The webinar will also teach you to identify a lending library. When you request an item, you will select the lending library to send the request to. You will learn how to place a request in SEAL. I will cover steps about keeping track of your borrowing and lending requests. You can think of SEAL as search and email, answer and loan. On the borrowing side, search for the item to request and send an email within the system to request it. The lender will answer the email and loan the item, or not. SEAL has a virtual union catalog. A virtual union catalog means the holdings are not cataloged into one union catalog. Instead, when a user enters search terms, the SEAL processor searches the library and library system catalogs included, according to Z39.50 standards. You can enter keywords, author or title, and SEAL brings back a list of hits. Anyone can go to the website and search the catalog. In order to process a request, a library staff member needs a user account and to log in. The user will search for an item and click on a request button. Library staff, as the users, will choose the library that they want to request from. Fill in a minimal amount of information, click Submit, and the request is sent to the lender's email address for the lender that you selected. An email request will go to one location only. If that location does not fill your request, you will need to request the item again. You do not need to action every step in SEAL. Items will be checked out and managed by libraries' circulation systems. SEAL is point-to-point interlibrary loan. A request will be sent to one library at a time. It is crucial for the efficiency of the system for lenders to respond to requests as soon as possible and loan whenever possible. A library should be as willing to loan materials as they are to borrow. From the Interlibrary Loan Code of the United States Explanatory Supplement, though some libraries are net borrowers, borrow more than they lend, and others are net lenders, lend more than they borrow, the system of interlibrary loan rests on the belief that all libraries have something to contribute and should be willing to lend if they are willing to borrow. It takes lenders to make the system a success. Here is where the Southeastern region is located in New York State. It is an 8-county region. Your borrowing and lending partners will be other libraries in the southeastern region, and from all types of libraries. The southeastern region includes 8 library systems. The 5 school library systems in the region include Dutchess, Orange-Ulster, Rockland, Sullivan, and Ulster school library systems. There are 2 public library systems, Mid-Hudson and Ramapo-Catskill. The Southeastern New York Library Resources Council includes academic, hospital, and special libraries as members. Not every library located in these systems is a participating library in SEAL. This webinar is being recorded in September 2017, and about 120 libraries in these systems have signed up to participate in the SEAL ILL system. This is the URL to access SEAL. It's seal.sunnylurk.org. And we have a user's manual, and it is at this URL, www.sunnylurk.org/seal. Let's get started. You will need a user account, and I'm next going to cover this. I'm going to switch from this PowerPoint and go to SEAL Live. This is the SEAL Gateway page. To get a SEAL account, click Staff Login, or at the bottom of the screen, SEAL Library Staff Login. From this screen, click Create New Account. First, you need a registration code. I cannot give this out in this recorded webinar. It is for library staff only. Please call Southeastern 845-883-9065 or email us at ill@sunnylurk.org for the registration code. It is important that this code only be used by library staff. Next is the field for username. Determine what username you would like to use and enter it. You will use this every time you log in to use SEAL. Some suggestions are your first initial and last name, or your email address if it is unique to you. Fill in the rest of the contact information, your name, your institution, so on. Select the library system that your library belongs. That's here. Click on the drop-down arrow and select your system. Please read the terms and conditions of use. Click Accept Terms and Conditions of Use, and then click Create New Account. You will receive an email in a day or two from the email address noc@sunnylurk.org that confirms your account. The email will include a link for you to set your password and begin using SEAL. Now let's look at a SEAL user's account. To get to it, go to seal.sunnylurk.org, click on Staff Login. I've entered my login information, and then click Login. The borrower account displays, and this is mine. You can click Edit and correct any information if necessary. From this account, you can see all requests placed by your library. This is my borrowing account, and these are mostly test requests. I could cancel a request if I needed to from this screen. I can also click on See All Requests Received by Your Library, and this is my lending account. I can respond to requests from this screen if I need to. When you place requests or receive requests from other libraries, they are logged here. This was Sunnylurk's account, and these were test requests. We will come back to this later. Let's look next at the library lending profile. Clicking on the library lending profile brings me to this Manage Library Profile screen. Every library should have one email address for lending. You may consider having a group email that several people can receive. We do this here at SENDilert by having an email address, ill@sendilert.org, that goes to 3 of us on staff. Check your library profile and make sure the email address listed is correct. Requests from other libraries will be sent to your library using this email address. If your library has not been using SEAL, your library is suspended. A library starts suspended. After someone from your library attends training and establishes a user account, change the suspension from yes to no. Click Submit. Here. In the future, this is the place you will suspend your library for times such as school libraries, summer vacations, or if your library is closed due to renovations. If someone from your library has already attended training, your library may no longer be suspended. Please be as willing to lend as you are to borrow. It takes lenders to make this system a success. Next, there is a chart where you can set the types of materials that your library will loan. You can change these settings according to the material types that your library is willing to loan, and then click Submit. Next, we're going to cover searching. And I'm going to click on the Home button for SEAL. I was logged in, and I'm beginning at the Gateway page. I do not have to log in to search, but if I want to request an item, I need to be logged in. So it helps to start logged in. I scrolled to the top of the screen, I clicked on the Home button, and it takes me to this Gateway page. At the top of the screen is a simple search keyword search box. You can enter words from the author and title or any combination. There's also an advanced search box. I will show 3 examples of searching using the simple search box. First, I'm going to search for the title, Grizzly Bear Family Book. I enter the search term and click Search. The search yields 20 records in 16 hits. It's a short enough list for me to look through and find the title I want. Next, I'm going to search for the same title and this time combine a word from the author's name. So there's the word grizzly and Michio from the author's name. And I click Search. This time, the search returns 5 records in 3 hits, and that's a short enough list to look through for the title. The last search I will demonstrate using the simple search box is the title, Maps of Time. This time, the search returns more than 1,000 hits of more than 5,000 bibliographic records. This is way too many to search through for this title, and it would be better to search for this title using advanced search. So next I'm going to show how to search using the advanced search. I will click on the advanced search button, and it takes me to the page where I can combine terms such as author and title, or search for an ISBN number, or subjects. The system has defaults, but you can click on the buttons and make changes. It defaults to this phrase for author and title. You can change it to all of these words or any of these words. You can change any of these. Following are 2 searches using advanced search. First, let's search for Maps of Time again. And I'm going to include the author's name, which is David Christian, and I put it in the format of last name, comma, space, first name. And I click Submit. I click Search. Okay, this time the search yields 5 hits with 21 records. And this is an easier list to look through than one with thousands of hits. Next, I'm going back to Advanced Search, and I'm going to search again for the title Grizzly Bear Family Book, and this time put in the author's full name. And I click Search. This search gives me the same 3 records from using the simple search with a word from the author's name and a word from the title. And I could certainly look through these three. Next, I'm going to place a search and demonstrate how to navigate the results page. I will search in Advanced for the title The Notebook by the author Nicholas Sparks. I enter those terms and I click Search. The right-hand side of the screen here displays the results list, the title for each entry, and some bibliographic information displays. Icons show the material format. In this case, there are books, a CD recording, an electronic audio recording, and DVD. By hovering your mouse over the icon, you can see which library catalogs the record is from. Sometimes, as in this one, many are listed. By clicking on the title of the book, the information from the library or library systems catalogs displays with locations, call number, and availability. Click back to search results, which is here in the upper right-hand corner, to go back to the list, or you could use your browser's back arrow. On the left-hand side of the screen are facets. Whatever you click on narrows your search. For example, if I click on DVD videos, my search results will only show the DVDs from my results. To go back to the list, I clicked on All, which was in amber-colored text. Or I could use my back arrow, my browser's back arrow. Click on the source, and the search display is limited to the holdings from that library catalog or library system catalog. So if I click on Ramapo Catskill, it will show only the titles that are in Ramapo Catskill. You can limit the source catalogs after placing the search one at a time. The search narrows also, and I'll go back to the results list, if I click on a subject or an author. Now I'm going to cover selecting a lender and requesting. We just looked at searching using simple search and advanced search. This system will not select a lender for you. Out of the hits that you find, you will select one item to request and then one lender. As of this recording, made in September 2017, 120 libraries are participating as lenders. We expect this list to grow as more library staff receive training to use the system. Please remember that someone from each library should set their library as a lender. It is important for the system to have lenders as well as borrowers. How do you determine what library to select as a lender? The item must have the status of checked in or be on the shelf. Items that are checked out, lost, overdue, billed, in demand, or in electronic format will not be loaned. If the item is on the bestsellers list or is in demand in your system, it's not appropriate to request and seal. This system does not replace circulation systems holds. If you can borrow the item through your shared circulation system, place a hold. If it is not a new item and not available through your own circulation system, try through seal. There is an extensive chart in the SEAL User's Manual showing what is potentially available via SEAL and what is not, and I'm going to show that chart. A link to the manual is available on Southeastern's website. So this chart shows what's potentially available through SEAL. So if it says checked in, available, on the shelf, check shelves, it's potentially available. For Adelphi University, check in their catalog, and within their catalog, it must list the Hudson Valley Center and say on shelf. For Adelphi, if it says Swerble, Manhattan Center, or Hauppauge Reserve, that location is not within our region and is not participating in SEAL. There's also a chart from the user's manual that gives guidelines for selecting a lender in SEAL. And it shows if your library is a member of a particular system, then just guidelines for selecting a lender. So for example, libraries that are located in Ramapo Catskill would use SEAL first to see if it's in Finkelstein Memorial Library, then request from the Mid-Hudson Library System members, and then Southeastern members, CENI-LERC members, or school libraries, and so on. You can check this chart in the SEAL manual. Let's look at the procedures for requesting and for lending. I'm going to search for a new title and go through the steps to evaluate the results and place a request. I'm going to use Advanced Search and search for the title Drive by Daniel Pink. I enter those terms and I click Search. Okay, background processor is still working. All right, I get 9 hits with 29 records. The system combines multiple items with the same bibliographic information into one hit. Items that are in ebook format with this icon are not available for loans. This is what the icon looks like. And also, books that are in audio format but are e-recordings, electronic formats on sites, are also not available. So this is an example of an e-recording and it is not available for a loan. I can narrow my search to books, and I have 3 hits. I can hover my mouse over the 3 book icons one at a time to see what libraries and library systems own a copy of this book. Here's the first one. Many locations are listed for the first one, and 2 for the second, and 1 for the third. So I will click on the title for the first one, and a long list of owning libraries displays. The details for each copy varies according to the owning library or library system. And to have more information or details about an item, such as search status before placing a request, I will show you the difference in the listings from various library catalogs or library systems catalogs. Let's look at Ramapo Catskills copies, and there are many in this list. There's just a dash where many other catalogs list availability. But if there's not a date for Ramapo Catskill, it means the item is not checked out. If I click on Ramapo Catskill Library System, this is a link into their catalog. My browser opened up another tab, and I'm no longer in SEAL. It says click on a title for detail. So I click on the title, and here are the items listed in the various libraries. And none of them appear checked out. I can close that tab and I'm back in Seal. Mid-Hudson's circ statuses display. This one is billed. Here's another one billed. Here's a copy that's checked out. You would not want to place a request for that one. Look for one that is checked in. For SUNY New Paltz and the community colleges, they're listed, and you can also click on their catalog to get more information, but it gives the availability. Now I'm going to click on the Request button to place a request. We will go through the steps. Here is the ILO request form. I am logged in as myself because we do not have test and demo libraries with this system. Your name will appear and the address of the library where you work. You can fill in a need by date if it matters to you. Here is a notes box. You can enter any information you want to here. It will be seen by both the borrowing and lending libraries. There is not a separate field for your patron information. When we designed this system, our technology and regional interlibrary loan committees were very concerned about patron privacy and recommended that patron names not be included on the form. You can put whatever information about your patron that you are comfortable with into the notes field. You will want some way to remember what patron requested this title. One committee member suggested that staff enter the patron's barcode number instead of their name. Next, there is a button for, is this a request for an article? So for a book, I would say no. There are instructions in the user's manual for requesting an article. We're not going to cover that information in this webinar. The bottom of the request form, there's a drop-down menu that says, please select a library. Click on the drop-down arrow to see the participating libraries. Scrolling through this list, you can see the circ status, and it might appear a little bit small, but you can see it. There are some that say checked out, or there's one that says overdue and billed. You would not want to select that copy. Please make sure to select a library where the copy is potentially available and listed as checked in. This is very important to the success of your request. Select a library where the item is in a collection that can be loaned. For example, you would not want to select a copy that is in a library's reserve shelf collection. So review the list for a copy on the shelf. There are many participating libraries in this list. I want to request it from the CENILERC office so that I don't send it to a library. And here it is. So I click on CENILERC office availability, available, and now I click submit. This was the procedure to request an item. The background processor will send a request email to the lender as well as a copy to the requester, the borrower. Now I'm going to cover the lending procedures for how to process a request received via Seal by a lender. Please remember to sign up for an account after viewing this webinar and set your library as a lender by changing the suspension to No. No, my library is not suspended. Remember, your library starts as suspended and someone needs to change that setting. I requested an item and the lender will now receive an email request. So I'm going to go to my email program and click on the email, and here is a copy of what it would look like for a lender to receive this email. So it gives me the ILO request number, was created, gives the title, author, call number, availability status that came from circ system, who requested it, and at the bottom, will you fill this request? And when I respond to a lending request, I use the email and I click yes or I click no. So I would check the shelf for the item, find it, and then I click yes. It now takes me to the web form for further response. I have a notes box. I could fill something in. I could fill in the due date, for example, and then click submit. And this is now logged onto the request in my account. These choices of yes and no are also available from the user account. See all requests received by your library. The lender gets 3 business days to respond to a requesting email. Holidays and weekends are not counted. If the lender does not respond, they will get a reminder email after 3 business days. After the lender responds to the email yes or no, the borrower will get an email sent to the email address used when they logged in and placed the request. The email notifies the borrower of a loan or a non-supply. If loaning the item, the lender checks out the material to the borrowing library. Remember to include a due date and then ship the material. In an email to me, Jerry Kuntz described the lending steps for Ramapo Catskill libraries. It is typical of the steps used by the various library systems. Loaning materials out to non-RCLS libraries is done by checking those materials out to that library. We have user records in our database for every non-RCLS library that materials have ever been loaned to. And if a new one occurs, the loaning RCLS library will just enter a new user record for that library. Does your library system use the same procedure? I'm going to demonstrate placing a request a second time. I click on Home, Advanced Search, and I'm going to search for a title called Julie and Julia by Julie Powell, and I put in the author last name, comma, space first name. I did this in advanced, and now I click Search. I'm looking for the DVD of the movie made from this book. So here is the results list, and as I look through it, here is a DVD. I hover my mouse over the icon, and it shows many systems. I'm going to click on the title, and I could see, for example, if the item was in demand in libraries. If this was checked out in most locations and I could see a lot of holds, it might not be available via seal. So here's what I see. It's checked in most places. I will click on the request button for the form, and I will go through this again. I can enter a need by date if it matters. I can enter in the notes box my patron's barcode. That's obviously not a real one. Is this a request for an article? No. And now I want to select a library. So I click on the drop-down arrow, and I would pick one according to the protocols and one that would be on the shelf. So there's one that says available. There are several that say checked in, and so on. I'm going to stop at this point because I don't really want to send this request to a real library, and CennyLurk doesn't own it. Okay. So from that list, I want to make sure that the item is checked in. I don't want to request one of these that says due and billed, or it's checked out. Okay, I'm going to go. Okay, a shorter process when you're searching to see if something's on the shelf is to just click on the request button, and then all these libraries will display and you can check through that list. I've shown how to search through a list of hits and see what libraries own an item. You can do that by hovering your mouse over the icons, clicking on the title, or clicking on the request button, and then select a library list. Now let's look at your library's account. I'm going to click on the Home button in Seal and the queue of requests. So I clicked on the Home button, I scroll to the bottom, and I click on My Account. Here are my requests of queues. If I click on See All Requests Placed by Your Library, then I have a list of the titles that I have requested. If I need to cancel a request, if it's no longer needed, I can cancel it here. This shows whether or not the request was filled or if it's still waiting for a response, the title, author, and so on. Okay, let's go back. I go back to my user account, and I'm going to click on See All Requests Received by Your Library. This is my lending account. Monitor this queue in case you miss an email. Actually, you should monitor both queues. The other one, in case a request is not filled, you could request it again. So this is a queue of requests that have been loaned or non-supplied, or some are waiting for a request. Some are waiting for a response. And I could click on the yes or no from this field. Here's one that had no answer, and I could respond to it in this web page if I wanted to. Well, this is a book that we could loan, so I could click yes. And again, it takes me to the web form for response. I could fill in any special information and then click submit. And it says my response was recorded to the request. After this webinar is over, if you have questions about using Seal, please call Southeastern or send us an email at ill@senilert.org. We have a listserv for the Seal ILL system. You can also subscribe through our website, senilert.org, which is SENYLRC.org, and click on Go to Senilert News, join our mailing list, and check Seal. You're welcome to subscribe to other lists as well. Please create a user account, and after that, set your library as a lender. I'm going to switch and go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, this was the access to Seal, seal.senilert.org. And the URL for the Seal manual and also for this recording is at senilert.org/seal. Here's the URL to get to the listserv subscription. You can go to senilert.org/subscribe. You can subscribe to our listserv. We let you know if it's going to be down for some reason or some important tips. How do you manage your Seal requests? Here's a few suggestions. You can create folders in your email program for ILL requests borrowed, one for lending. Do you place and receive only a few requests? You could consider keeping paper copies if that works for you. You might have an Excel spreadsheet. Consider how your library will handle patron names. Do you want to use their barcode numbers in the notes field? You will see queues of requests available in your account. Check them on a regular basis. On the borrowing side, you may need to place another request for any not filled. Check out items to patrons in your circulation system. Check with your system headquarters if you are not familiar with the procedures. Jerry Kuntz let me know that RCLS libraries can find these procedures in the Answer Manual, section 4.4. Tara Storr let me know that for Mid-Hudson libraries, the information is found in the Knowledge Base, Number 14, under Best Practices. Check out loans to other libraries in your circulation system. If you do not use an automated circulation system, use a manual one to keep track of loans. Your Circ system should generate overdue notices to patrons and for books loaned to other libraries. Respond to any overdue notices that your library receives either by email, phone call, or in the mail from other libraries quickly. Call or email the lender if your patron needs a renewal. You'll find the lender's email address on your email that you got after you placed a request. If the item is not renewed, please return it as soon as possible if it is due. Southeastern staff, including myself and colleagues, will respond to your systems about using the system. If you can email questions to ill@sennylurk.org. If you want to call me, you're welcome to for questions, 845-883-9065. You're welcome to call and ask me questions about using SEAL. Please subscribe to the SEAL listserv and post your questions to SEAL@sennylurk.org if you want other people's input. Thank you for attending this webinar.